apologies, folks, for the technical difficulties. Welcome to the Newfane Selectboard meeting, October 18th, 2021. Call the meeting to order at 6:07. And we have Shelley Huber, Katie Johnson-Applin, Ann Gollog, myself, Angela Sanborn, Juanetta Cowling, our administrative assistant, Austin Rice from DCTV, Ken Esty, our planning commission chair, and a member of the public. Hi, welcome, and Jay Wilson, our road foreman, and Kate Guerin, thank you for being here. First thing is to call to order, which we've just done. Additions and amendments to the agenda, are there any? Hearing none, we'll go to the approval of the minutes for October 4th. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And now to the October 12th, 2021 budget meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept them as is.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I abstain. I wasn't here.
It's right here on the,
Not for the
For
budget
the
meeting.
budget, for the budget meeting last week.
so you're listed as being here.
Not on the budget
Not on the
meeting.
budget one.
It says
It's the
absent.
very last page. The next one.
October 12th meeting
Absent.
minutes, she says she's absent.
Absent.
Oh, God, I didn't see that in there. Okay.
And thank you, Jay. You are up. Thanks for being here.
So I contacted Brian from Vermont Sewer and Drain about the town office septic, like you guys wanted. He suggested not doing anything until we have a problem, because we would have to dig up one end of the leach field to get the camera into the pipes. And that can pose a problem as you go to seal it back up. So he suggested until we see a problem, just go. So,
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, any discussion about that?
Maybe, do you think it would be a better idea to revisit it in the spring after winter comes and
Well,
goes? Because it's gonna be
because
a
it's a
lot.
pressurized amount system, that's why he doesn't recommend digging into it.
Okay.
It's not, you can go in from the septic tank like you can a normal septic.
Uh-huh.
This is a pressurized system that's got smaller pipes out there, so he actually has to dig the leach field up and open those pipes up to be able to get his camera through to see if the roots have gone into the pipes at all.
It could pose to be a bigger problem.
You can't,
He, what's that?
you can't go out through the building somehow and snake it out that way?
No. It's not like a normal septic. He said he'd have to go through the pipes from the leach field itself.
Hmm.
It's got much smaller pipe being pressurized.
Uh-huh.
And he just doesn't, he said really until you have a problem, I wouldn't do it. Because if you develop a problem, then he said you could do the camera and the fix at the same time.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be worthwhile.
So is there anything that we can do, I guess, to continue abating what we do have for the knotweed
Not we,
now?
Yeah.
I mean, just make
keep
it a
cutting.
regular part of the maintenance.
yeah,
Is
if we
it a
just
spring?
keep it cut down, hopefully it wouldn't be so big.
Right.
Steve.
So the ground road work has been completed.
That's great.
V-Trans came up with an emergency grant to help us with the Dover Road, which is still in limbo up until last week as to who was gonna help us pay for that repair. FEMA wouldn't because it's complete highway, and federal highway wasn't because there wasn't enough damage to trigger. So it was kind of in limbo, but V-Trans is gonna give an emergency grant to cover 90%.
90%, that's good.
Yep.
Thank you for finding out all that
The
information.
guardrails were installed last week, so that section's all complete now.
Woohoo, will that be included or not? The guardrails?
He said to put it down, he
Yeah.
doesn't know for sure.
Okay.
I forwarded you all the report from the engineers on the ground that came in this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, and we will discuss that under old business.
And the pre-construction meeting for the Arch Bridge will be held next week, so things are slowly moving. Hopefully we won't hit any snags, but you never know.
Can I ask when the meeting is and what time? Do you
Yeah.
know?
Thursday at 2:30. And it looks like it's gonna be a team meeting rather than in person.
Is it open for everyone that wants to come check it out?
I believe town-wise, yes. I'm
Okay.
not sure it's open to the public.
Okay, great.
It says, did he
So
say?
yeah, I'm sure
Zoom?
anybody from the town that wants to attend can, and I have a link for it.
Yes, he said Zoom.
What did you mean by team meeting?
It's-
Team meeting or
It's
Zoom
Zoom.
meeting? Sorry.
Microsoft Teams,
Oh. I don't
rather
know.
than Zoom.
Okay,
Gotcha.
perfect. Thank you so much.
So we can get a link for that?
Yeah, he said he'd send it out.
Okay.
And the easement for 254 Depot Road may have to go through condemnation. And we may have something for the next meeting for you to sign and post. We're getting nowhere with the bank that owns that property. So Bob Fisher is talking with the V-Trans right-of-way person, and they're trying to come up with a plan to legally, it's very little land that we need to do the culvert, but it just has to be done. So hopefully we'll have something for the next meeting.
What does that mean? Condemnation.
Yeah, what is,
Taking the piece of property, since they won't cooperate and get back to us.
Is it like public domain or something, or
Yeah, apparently it's called condemnation now
Okay.
instead of eminent domain.
eminent domain?
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the road foreman and commissioner's report?
I make such a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so much for you and your crew and all your hard work. We really appreciate it. Now moving on to the administrative assistance report. Anetta.
A letter has been sent to V-Trans requesting financial assistance, like Jay said, for the landslide damages for the flooding on Dover Road that will not receive FEMA funds. Organizations and social services that would like to request appropriations for 2023 will need to schedule an appointment to meet with the Selectboard and discuss their request for financial support. I still have openings on November 1st and the 15th, or December 6th and the 20th. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me as soon as possible. And then I want to share a community event that's coming up at the Williamsville Hall on Thursday, November 4th from 7:30 to 10:30. They will be having a community breakfast, serving coffee and muffins, and you are encouraged to stop by and get one to go.
Awesome.
I have a annual report contract from Repro for the publishing of our town books. If we do a 2-year contract with them, similar to what we did 2 years ago, the cost for that contract will be $3,280 for 800 copies. And I would recommend that we go with them again because they have done a really good service and they've worked well with us.
Just $115 savings.
Yes. Plus, we don't have to send it out to bid if we've had an existing contract with them.
So I have a question. Do they have it available online? And do we need as many copies? And how many copies do we have left over usually?
We don't usually have a lot left over. Last year, we did have an issue with the town clerk getting me a copy of the registered voters list. It didn't come through in a formatted merge like it should have.
Yeah.
So we did end up ordering extras last year. That's why our annual report now quantity is 800. And that'll cover the influx of any new registered voters that show up at the poll.
So how's your list developed then?
It's through the registered voters that Carol has on her system. She gets it for me, and then if there's multiple people in the household, I send one copy to the household. So there are extras for multiple residents.
Right, like my situation with my dad where we share an address and a mailbox, but we only get one copy even though it's 2 households.
Uh-huh. So how many households do we have? Do you know?
I don't have that number for you tonight, but I can get it for you. Based on the figures that Carol gave me last year, it would be inaccurate for me to give you that information.
So you have the household list and then you have a registered voter
I have a
list?
registered voter list, which is who I have to send them to.
Okay,
So it's not all the residents, it's only the registered voters.
okay. So then you add to it another set of people?
No.
No.
I only use the registered list, but last year when Carol created the list for me,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't merge the right field for her, so I ended up ordering extra.
Uh-huh.
And I do have, I think, 40 books from last year. So, when Ann did this contract, she included the extra that I ordered, which is the 800 copies that we get.
It's combined, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And do you know if they have an online link availability?
To receiving this,
Yeah, if somebody wanted to just look at it online versus a paper copy,
Don't we post it on
Well,
the town
we-
website?
we do,
the full thing.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need a vote on this evening?
I do. If I get this back to her, she said because of, the shortage in paper and supply and demand, the sooner I get this back in, I get locked in and I'm on the top of the list. So I told her I would get it to her, as soon as possible, which is tonight's meeting. Tomorrow I would send it to her.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept?
Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Great, thank you, Juanetta. You can go ahead and do that. Whose signature do you need on it?
We'll have to make a motion. Make a motion that Angela signed for the rest of the board.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Excellent.
Thank you.
Do you want me to sign this one? Is there a motion to accept the administrative assistance report?
I make such a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Great. We'll take a 2-second break to check on our original Zoom link that we were having difficulties with. And then we'll get moving some more. An intermission as such.
It's the committee report.
Yes, Ken, if he has any updates. We keep Ken on the rolling schedule.
Yeah. That's good. Planning commission likes that.
No.
It's not letting me in.
Okay. What shall we do with scheduled members?
I can text Gloria the link.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
And we have Williamsville Hall here, so that's good.
I'm just double checking.
Oh,
to
and we
see.
have Alex? Excellent,
Yeah.
so we just need to get in touch with Gloria. Are you okay if we keep going?
Yes, go ahead.
Ken, welcome.
Yes.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you, appreciate it. So, yes, the report from the planning commission is that we had the special meeting last Wednesday, October 13th, attended by about 5 members of the public, which was great. Once again, Anne brought her presentation on ARPA to that meeting, which has been extremely useful to answer many questions in advance. And then we had our regular meeting on the 14th, last Thursday. So we continue to do the work of, the details associated with collecting the surveys and getting that ready for the select board. So right now, counting the surveys in back of me, we're somewhere around 390
Wow.
now.
That's awesome.
Woohoo!
Good job.
Yes.
That's great.
And I'm
Nicely
thinking
done.
maybe we can just kind of push that right over 400. So if you haven't filled out your survey, people of Newfane, do so. Let's get over 400 surveys this week. We can do it. We can do this as a town. And the story is that we did extend the deadline from October 15 to October 22nd.
Okay.
So the story is that with nearly 400 surveys, that puts us at roughly 30 to 35% of all the households. We did 1,150 mailings, mailing pieces in this mailing. So we were going with 1,150 households, and that includes voters and just everybody in town. So that around 35%. So that's good.
Have you gotten a lot from the online as well?
Oh, yes.
That number 300 includes that, or?
Oh, yes.
Great.
The story is that far more by way of mail than SurveyMonkey. We might have guessed that SurveyMonkey would yield, at least even.
Mhm.
But no, the mailing has been much more seemingly the preferred method for people to respond. So the situation is that we are entering that data as we get the surveys.
Mhm.
So our plan is that between October 22nd and somewhere around October, 28th, we will complete our analysis of the material. And then what we will do is deliver the results to Juanetta on October 29th, which I believe is a Friday. And that will enable you to get that material in advance of the November 1st meeting. And of course, we will be present here at the November 1st meeting to discuss with you, what we have, and for you to ask questions about what this means. And then from there, naturally the Planning Commission, being highly eager to continue to be, working with the select board, just as you have been with us, which is an extraordinary development. I can't help but, thank the select board over and over again for your responsiveness to the work of the Planning Commission as we collaborate and cooperate around the major issues of the town plan, for which the survey is an expression. So we can't thank you enough for that. It's a real signal achievement, over the last couple of years. So I'm just delighted beyond measure. Which is to say that come November 1st, we'll be here, we'll discuss with you the survey, and then of course we're at your service afterwards as you deliberate based on the results. So that's what's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Thank
exciting.
you so much for all of your hard work and the group too. It's
Yes.
amazing to see, and get those surveys in town. We need to hear from you.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, anything further? And we will move to the scheduled members of the public, and we welcome Alex Beck from the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. Thank you for being
Hi,
here.
Yeah,
Alex.
thanks so much for having me. Where should I stand? Good?
Perfect.
Great. So my name is Alex. I'm the Welcoming Communities Program Manager with the BDCC in Sevets. I've been there for 7 years now, and I'm really happy to be back here in Newfane. I'm here to just touch on a few things. One is to make sure you folks have received our appropriation request,
Yes.
which I think we've sent in. Great. And really to provide an update and just to hear how things are going. Based on what I'm hearing about how you're engaging with your town around some, what's been happening and around ARPA, that's just really thrilling to hear. So that's not all towns are doing that, and that's just really exciting from our perspective to hear, because our role is to help our businesses, our municipalities, and our workers succeed here in the region. We are the Regional Development Corporation for the county, and we do 3 big things in general. We provide support to businesses, small, medium, and large. We support the workforce through high school career programs, young professionals groups, and adult workforce trainings that we put on periodically. We used to run the Career Expo. We don't do those in person anymore, so it's not doing that. And then the last thing we do is build capacity in organizations or communities. And I can touch on a few of those things that we do. So the most straightforward and what's highlighted most specifically in the application we submitted is how we've been able to support businesses in Newfane. I think that's the most traditional economic development stuff that we do. And what I have here, again, I'm a workforce person, so I'm kind of going to read off my cheat sheet of the business development side of things. But 2020 was really tough for businesses, and what our role was to understand what was happening at the federal and statewide level, and making sure our communities knew about those opportunities. So we didn't really have money to give out, but we were the helping folks access the money that was made available through whether it's PPP or the state bridge loans and all of those different grants. There were a dime a dozen. We were the folks helping a lot of businesses receive that. And so a good example of our work is that Windham County was had the second highest PPP loans in the state. And we like to think it's because we exist and not every community has an organization like ours.
So you're saying Windham County?
Windham County had the second highest county in Vermont.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So
You guys do great work.
thank you. Yeah. And so what's important to notice, I think, is that there's, it says there's 2 Newfane businesses that got one of the highest levels of relief funding.
Wow. Where's that?
This is on the back page of the requested here on the ballot.
I don't know if we got the request. I don't see the number requested.
Okay. Well,
It's on the end of
Back here, on this document.
Very back.
Oh, okay.
and so that's great. I don't know which business that was. We get raw data, so we can't say, oh, we know what business that is and what's happening with them. But,
Oh, wow. Huh.
But what I think is really great also is that 2 businesses got micro entrepreneur loans, which is the smallest kinds of businesses. So I think it's a good example of us being able to help folks access these really big and robust tools. There's also this Restart Vermont Technical Assistance Program that we're running, and 6 organizations from Newfane participated there.
That's great.
So that's, hopefully not an emergency. We'll be looking more at the business development and less business relief and emergency access. And those micro entrepreneur loans are, you can still come to us for guidance and support and if businesses qualify for lending.
I don't see them, sorry. I don't.
Trying to
Um,
write them down.
And so it
Can
might
you
be-
say what the 6 was for? I'm
Uh,
sorry.
Yeah, so 6 organizations were part of the Restart Vermont Technical Assistance Program. So that was a program where a business would say, I've never had a website before and now all of my sales are online. We would, and another Vermont business would say, I can provide technical support. I can build a website for people if they have the money to pay me. And so we had essentially a list of the people who were vendors. And then we had a list of the people who needed that technical assistance, and the state essentially paid for that interaction to occur. So we could have a small business hire a local, website producer, or it was a lot of tax prep, getting your books straight in order to pivot your business. And so if you did bookkeeping, you would, let us know that you wanted to provide that service. And so that was kind of a matchmaking program there. And I mean, I think unfortunately over the last year, those are the highlights. We're still running our high school career programs. It's really hard to do that when schools are in and out of the classroom a lot. We are still doing our sophomore summit, a hybrid model. We have videos of workplace tours that are still not open to the public, and also some students will be moving them out around the community places where they can. And again, that's just connecting our young folks who are here now with the jobs that are available.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'm happy to answer questions, or, I could keep talking, but we do a lot and I'm not the only person who does it, so.
I think we have a time limit anyways, don't we?
Yeah. Can I ask one quick question? When is your fall annual meeting that you mentioned? Has it already happened?
The fall annual meeting, I do not have that date on me, but
Okay.
it does need to happen, so I'm guessing it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Can you clarify the relationship between SevEds and Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation for me? Because I see your letterhead has both organizations,
Yep.
but the sentence that has the specific request is specifying SevEds.
Yeah.
So just if you could clarify that for me.
Absolutely. So SevEds is a partner organization. It's a separate 501c3 than BDCC, and it is the strategic vision component of regional economic development. So what SevEds does is through fundraising to our communities, it allows us to focus on regional issues like workforce development, like building town capacity. And so we raise money specifically to work on larger community issues like keeping our young people here, where a small business can come into a BDCC office and they might not, it's not their problem to worry about keeping young people here. So there are some like the specific services that we provide and things that we're landlords, so we can generate revenue on those kinds of activities. There are things that no one in our community is doing, and it's those things that we fundraise for. So we share kids, we share a workforce, and so it's often our workforce development programs that this funding goes towards.
Right.
And so when we do our comprehensive economic development strategies, which is the SEDS, which is our big strategic assessment where we go to all the communities, that is owned by SevEds because that's the region's goals, not necessarily a specific business's or community's goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how are the two organizations connected?
So SevEds has no staff. So SevEds will say, we've spoken to the community and we've raised this money, and this money needs to be spent on these top priorities. And so it helps fund programs that meet those regional needs.
And those programs are run by staff from BDCC?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's more just sort of a funding arm of BDCC?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and BDCC is a 501c6. We're a regional development corporation. It's like a specific thing. We have a contract with the state. And so that was really where the other organization, we felt we kind of needed that to keep the regional focus and to do that kind of work in that way.
Oh, that's good.
It's really confusing, but,
Yes.
but I think it's,
I remember when you first came on the scene, I understood it, but it's always good to remind us all.
so Sevens will contract, so Sevens contracts with the internship provider
Right,
to run the unprofessionals group.
right.
There's a good example of that, and contract, we're all the same staff, but it's really, are we spending our time on a specific business or a specific thing, or is this a regional need that our community has prioritized? And so that's how we do that.
Great.
So there will not be a request from BDCC for funding, the only request would come through you guys?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
Sevens and that's why it's confusing, is that,
Yeah.
it might be it will be a BDCC staff person giving you an update on what happened, but yeah, the money goes to Sevens, it's a separate organization, and it's managed along those, our shared goals.
Got it.
What is the rate increase? I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers from last year. Do you have any idea? Or did you level fund it?
In terms of, so we always ask for $3 per capita. So,
Always, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
every,
that's
every community,
okay.
and we ask the same from every town because we're a shared region, so it wouldn't be fair to ask different folks for a different number.
Mhm.
So I mean, if the number went up, then I have some good news and your population grew.
Yeah.
But it's again $3 per person.
Okay.
And
So-
how many of the towns are participating with you guys?
Ooh, that is information I should have off the top of my head. When I started, it wasn't nearly as many.
This is 18 communities?
Yeah, sorry.
18
Yeah, 18 communities, and they represent over 80% of the residents in Wyndham County. Yeah, so we have the pleasure of going in front of most town meetings every year, and so we know that a yes is actually the community saying yes, because that's what it takes around here, and we're excited to do it.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's amazing work.
Do we need to vote now?
No,
No, we just review it.
they present to us and then it goes on the ballot, correct? Are we doing that again this year? I'm not sure if we've decided yet or if we're voting.
The only thing that I would say is we need to recheck our population because I think it shrunk by nearly 200, and that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're asking per capita is how we get that number, so if your number changes, that's,
Okay,
go with the $3 per person.
perfect.
Okay, check population.
So yes, thank you for your
It's
presentation.
residential population, people who are residents, not,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's who's on the rolls, the voter roll, or I don't
No,
know.
because you have to
I
include
couldn't.
children.
This question's above my pay
So
grade.
we just had the
Census.
census,
results.
so hopefully we should have some decent results for that.
Right.
And what I was looking at looked like we shrunk, unfortunately.
below
Yes.
1,700.
We are like at 1550-ish.
Yeah.
We shrunk quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that number would get amended.
Yep, yeah, you can, I mean, of course, amend it however you'd like, but just, if there's an updated number, I think some of you are in contact with Sarah Lang, who's running the show, really
Yeah.
on these visits, and you can just let her know and we'll update as needed.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool, well, that's great. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Okay. Now we have the Williamsville Hall Committees, Mr. Steve Levine.
I am here.
Good evening.
With-
Glad you're here.
Well, yeah, good to see you all. I'm here with Janine Rose, who's our formidable secretary, and John Julian, who's a member of the committee.
Good to see you all.
So I came to discuss a number of matters that are, hanging out there. One of them is the building assessment. We got the one quote from Criterion for $2,995. And I attempted to get other quotes from contractors. Nobody seemed very interested or really qualified. But I finally got in touch with the Preservation Trust of Vermont, not the state organization. That it's a nonprofit organization. And they do wonderful work. And they have a program where they go around and they help communities appraise their historic buildings. And I'm meeting on the 28th of this month at 11:30 with a field representative who will determine whether or not we're worthy of having an assessment done. And they have, competent people, oftentimes architects, who will do a very thorough job, and they often have grants to pay the people that they hire. So that's the latest in the saga of getting the building assessed.
Can you give me some background? Why are you going through the process of getting assessed?
Oh, because the select board requested that we get the building assessment before any more funds were appropriated to the capital expenses for the hall. Which, is a good idea, but I'll get to that part later. The appropriation. So that's in the works, and I think it'll work. I'm also involved with the old Williamsville school, and they did an appraisal for us many years ago, and it was very helpful, and it worked out well, so we'll see where that goes. The meeting on the 28th is just to determine if we're worthwhile building to do that, and I'm sure we are. Then I just wanted to run down the events. Winetta mentioned the first breakfast, but in order, on October 30th, we're having the second Williamsville Dog Show.
Yay!
International, sorry. Janine's very involved in putting that together. She does a great job. She has ribbons this year, and all the dogs will get prizes.
Yeah, One Stop Pet Shop is sponsoring it.
Wonderful.
So they give food and toys.
No, it's a great event.
Right. And I encourage people to come and fill out the form, which you can get on the Newfane Town website. Only because it's a fun thing to read about everybody's dog. Everybody likes to talk about their dogs. So it makes it even more fun.
My dog won for best tail last time.
That's
Oh, yeah?
right.
Oh,
I'll have to bring my dog this year.
We have a new one. Senior veterans.
You're gonna come again?
It's up to my husband.
Okay.
I'm considering bringing my dog.
Pardon?
I'm considering bringing my dog.
Yes, do.
Sure. Yeah, last time we had, 20 dogs?
Oh, that's
Dogs?
exciting.
Perfect.
And we had about an attendance of about 40 people. Yeah, which was great. And, there was some hesitation last year about having it because of, the dogs biting each other or biting people. And we had to go to the VLCT and get it approved by the lawyers and check with the insurance. But this year we're good to go because, it's all been set up. So,
So we'll not look for you.
It's a funny thing when you get a lot of dogs.
yeah, they behave.
They fall in line.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So that's on October 30th. And then the Rock River Players are putting on
Front page.
Front Page, yep. And they're gonna have 6 performances on November 5th through 7th, and then the 12th through 14th. And I also want to mention at the dog show, everyone except the dogs have to wear a mask. And the Rock River Players are doing a great thing with the audience. They're limiting it to 40 people. They're spacing out the seating, and everyone needs to have a mask and be vaccinated. So we're running a pretty clean place over there. Then on the 4th of November, we're having our first community breakfast, which Winetta mentioned, from 7:30 to 10:30. And that's also mask required, except of course when you're eating and drinking. If that works out well, we would like to do it at least once a month
So, you said it was vaccination and a mask?
for the play.
Okay, so that was committee decision?
No, that was decided by the Rock River Players,
Oh, okay.
which we wholeheartedly support. Then, the last scheduled event at this point is the 14th of November. In Williamsville, there's a tradition where David Brown has a bunch of carolers. They do a wonderful job. They go from house to house. And at the end of the evening, they usually congregate at the hall to have, a celebration. So we'd like to keep it open till then for them. And the hall committee is working on scheduling a couple of events between the 14th of November and the 24th of December. If we can do that, I'd like to keep the hall open until that day, but we're recommending that we then close the hall for the winter and reopen in April. I know you may all be aware the cost of fuel is going up, and we don't want to waste it. And because of COVID, we're not sure what events we can run. So we'd like to, just do this and make a presence, present things that people can enjoy, and then close down. If we can't get some events in December, then we're recommending we close after the last performance of the play. But we'll know, in early November which way that's going to go, and we hope that the select board agrees with that plan.
Sounds like really exciting, fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Hope to see you all there.
Yep.
So there's that. Then, I know this isn't the right time, but I want to mention appropriations for the capital expense fund. We know we're gonna need $30,000 to paint the building. We have $21,000 in the fund, in the capital fund, so we're short $10,000. So I just want to put this bug in your ear. I'll be back for the for the budgeting meeting to at least get that amount. And I have no idea what surplus or extra money has come through the COVID relief plans. Maybe you can let me know, but hopefully if there is more money available, that we can think about putting it to some improvements at the hall, because we know we need to finish the balcony, and we know we need to spend money on the chimney, either repairing it or dismantling it. So I just want you to think about it between now and then. So, you guys, anything else?
Yeah, you got it.
So you'll be coming to one of our budget meetings to discuss all that further?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And to find out how much money there is.
Well, we welcome you always.
Thank you. We had thought also, we discussed changing the lock on the building, because we know there's lots of keys out there. But when I thought about it, we live fortunately in a good community, we've never had a problem. So I thought, well, we'll change the lock and we'll, make 20 copies for all the people who need them. And then they can make copies and, we're back to square one. So, then I thought,
key.
yeah, well, then I thought, oh, we'll get a digital lock. And, that's absurd because it's the same situation, probably even easier. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep the good old lock, it works. People have keys who need them, have them, and we'll go from there. So, you guys have anything else to say?
Well, I'd like to thank you three for being here tonight and for your report, and we look forward to discussing it further.
Very good.
I just wanted to add that I've been really impressed with all the additional activities and life that you've created at the hall. And I think it's terrific, and I very much appreciate it.
You try very hard.
Yeah, it's really been hard the last, year and a half.
Sure.
Yeah.
I even though I hardly ever get to go, I really missed seeing it. Like, sorry, we're still closed. Sorry, I couldn't go if I wanted to. It's just kind of like,
Well, thank you.
So I'm glad that you guys are sort of
Yeah.
feeling your way through getting back into it.
And there's a couple of ideas on the minutes that I added that we might be doing, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we have Gloria Cristelli with the Southern Vermont Watershed Alliance. Welcome, Gloria. Good to have you here.
Well, it's good to be here too. It's good to be alive and well. And Southeastern Vermont Watershed Alliance, as you've been aware in the last year, with different discussions that I've had with you, we are the sole group that does the water quality monitoring all the way from the Williams River up above Rockingham down to the Whetstone Brook in Brattleboro. And we find that our water quality is on the whole quite good. We publish bi-weekly. We do it bi-weekly. We publish the results in Brattleboro and put them up at the swimming sites. Of course, this last summer we had such rain that anytime after rain, you tend to have higher E. coli results. But overall, the water quality continues to be good. Where we find that there are some problems, and there have been beneath different places, I'm trying to remember now which one was the usual one. There's something in South Londonderry, and we've had some problems in Putney. But we then work with Agency of Natural Resources, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and I know Marie Caduto, who is the major watershed person for the Department of Environmental Conservation, has talked to you as a select board, especially as she was preparing the new general plan for southeastern Vermont. So we say that our work affects everybody. Every single person in the town of Newfane benefits from the work that we continue to do. So we ask for this to continue to monitor a site. Probably one site costs us about $600. So we have the Indian Love Call, and we do write down, a lot of people in Newfane use the Demerson Covered Bridge. We have a site there. And then we have 26 sites throughout southeastern Vermont.
And is that for the whole summer, 600 for the whole summer for each site?
Per each site, yeah. And we do more than the E. coli, we do turbidity, so we find out how much sediment is going in, and the sites change. I mean, we do other, and we get the E. coli tested by the Connecticut River Conservancy because of the time constraints. And we're also finding that we have less support from the La Rosa lab, which is the state lab. They really withdrew a lot of support because of the COVID-19, and our costs are significant. We pay a coordinator who works for the Connecticut River Conservancy, but Ryan used to contract with just us, but now it's less expensive and it's better for us to be coordinated. So one other thing we do, we not only test the water, but we coordinate source to sea river cleanup, which happened in September, and that cleans up the trash that people are putting down at the sites. I took down probably 6 bags of trash, 2 big tires, probably another 5 bags of just bottles and cans that could be recycled. And the Triple T has one of our water quality monitors works there, so they always allow us to get rid of the trash that way. So we continue to support the cleanliness, not just the purity of the water, but the cleanliness of the sites. And then I've talked to you about the Japanese knotweed, which is a continual problem, and I'm working with the Wyndham Natural Resources Commission and visited with Moon's son, Pete, works with the Vermont Land Trust, and we looked at one of their sites last week. So it continues on, and I would appreciate if you could continue to support us.
Thank you so much for being
Any
here
questions?
tonight. Does anybody have any questions for Gloria?
I guess the question, it's the same amount that's being requested from last year.
I believe so.
We should probably have a list of last year's appropriations, just
600. So we're covering basically just one site for the summer.
The Newfane site?
Yep.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much, Gloria. We really appreciate you being here and presenting to us this evening.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's all of our scheduled members of the public this evening. We have unscheduled members of the public. Would anyone like to speak?
Gave them the material.
We have to have a few basic.
Gloria, you haven't muted your mic.
Application.
Gloria? Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
I'm sorry,
She's back on.
Hi.
Hi. What? I didn't hear that. I unmuted.
I said you hadn't muted it. We could hear you talking with your husband. Just wanted to let you know.
Did I have a good stump speech prepared? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, unscheduled members of the public, anyone? Good to see you, Gerald and Dan. Hi, Tom.
Just came to hear the scheduled numbers.
We love to have you all here.
Thank you.
Giving Tom a minute to connect to audio to see if he'd like to speak. Hi, Tom, how are you? Good, glad you're here tonight.
Thank you.
We're at unscheduled members of the public. Would you like to speak tonight?
No, I was just checking in late. I got the Zoom meeting, late, so I glad I joined. Say hello.
Well, good to have you here this evening.
Thank you.
So now we'll move into old business, and it's the real estate options. And Jay, if you are available to present us with the report that you sent us out today.
Well, I was hoping Mike was gonna be on, because he had actually done a little more research, this afternoon, so what Dan can tell you is what was in the report. I think the sloping is very conservative, so that number is conservative, I would say. I think you could even end up with more than what they estimated. And there is one little section that they didn't include at the far end that could also add to it too. So that would be a minimum of material. As far as the permits, that's what Mike was checking on today, and he got back to me when I was making dinner, and then he said he'd have the information for the meeting. So I don't know, he was gonna call in, or were you gonna?
Well, I think we should just kind of state what's on this engineering report for everyone, public-wise.
I'll just read this report, dated October 17th, 2021, to the town of Newfane, Vermont, from Philip Savoy Engineering, in reference to the Radway Hill gravel pit cost estimate to calculate available gravel at site. On October 5th, 2021, we dug a series of test pits on the reference lot to observe the types of soils available on the site. We found most of the upper 10 to 15 feet of the site contained mostly clean, coarse sand. The top 4 to 6 feet on the backside was coarse gravel, then sand. This is consistent with the description of the soil series type Colton. In calculating removable material, we stayed 50 feet from brooks and maintained seasonal finish slopes.
Reasonable.
Sorry, reasonable. My eyes are. Total removable yardage is 823,452.79 cubic yards. Estimated material types are estimated as follows: 65 to 70% gravelly sand, single grain; 20 to 25% very gravelly sand. This is gravel with some stone. 10% cobbles. Thank you, Philip Savoy. And then there's a report and graphs and maps.
Engineered report.
What's that? And diagrams.
And there's a big long explanation of what Colton series gravels are and how they justify it. Which is stuff.
Why don't we read just what the Colton series, you want to read it? The very, very top.
Go ahead.
Description.
The Colton series consists of very deep, excessively drained soils formed in glaciofluvial deposits. They are on terraces, cames, eskers, and outwash plains. Slope ranges from 0 through 70%. Estimated saturated hydraulic conductivity is high or very high in the solum and very high in the substratum. Mean annual temperature is about 6 degrees centigrade or 42 degrees Fahrenheit, and mean annual precipitation is about 40 inches. That is a Colton series, and there's a lot of other information that goes along with it.
Broken down all different kinds of colors.
And inches.
Jay, do you have any of the information that you could pass along that Mike shared with you, or should we wait for him?
All I know is he contacted Bill Jewell, who is an Act 250 consultant, I guess.
Yes.
To find out what would be involved with the town owning it. And he did find out, I think, that we would need some sort of permit, but not as complex necessarily as what's involved with a commercial gravel pit. And I was hoping he was going to give you the whole thing, but.
So the next step to this project is to warn a special town meeting.
Could I just ask for some clarification
Of
on
course.
the report
Okay.
first? There are two, I know nothing about any of this. Could you clarify two things for me? Is this what you were hoping for in terms of the type of gravel that he found? And in terms of the volume that they are estimating, can you give a approximation of how many years you would think it would last based on our current usage?
Probably 30 years, maybe, something like that.
Really? Wow.
That's amazing.
And it's heavy on the sand, which is good, which we were very fortunate this year. We found a really good source of sand. But in talking with other towns, they're struggling to get a sand supplier. So the sand part is very good. The gravel, it looks like it has pretty good potential in portions of the pit. So I think it would be maybe sand would be in one section, gravel on the other. But I do think we could get quite a few years of use out of it. So I think Mike has a better handle on when you crush it, what the different soils end up with, as far as the quality of it. He's got years of crushing experience, so he could probably give you a better rundown on that.
Okay. Any other questions on the report?
And cobbles are useful?
Yes,
Great.
they would be crushed down into gravel.
Can we try to reach Mike?
Yeah, is it worth trying to reach out and calling him?
Do you have this one? Ken has a question.
Hi, Ken. Yes.
So based on what the select board read and based on what I think I hear you saying, Jay, is that there's a good deal of water that it's not sitting there, but it's passing through. And that's what you were hoping for, right? Is that you were looking for any kind of water that's there is to go through and leave it dry enough so that we can use it.
Right, now this is all a very sandy gravel that was, the engineer explained that it was all part of Lake Hitchcock, which was the original lake that covered this whole area. And he was showing me the different layers were a year of sediment. And then when the top of it has a much coarser, that's when the dam broke in, I believe it's the Hadley. And it left the coarser material on the top. And it was really noticeable as we went down 20 feet and he could show you all the different years. And, it was pretty fascinating I guess I'd never had a soils lesson like that. So it was pretty interesting.
Cool.
That's good. You have Mike on the phone now.
I will just take a moment and explain what Lake Hitchcock was for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Lake Hitchcock was the entire West River Valley, everything that you can see from the top of Black Mountain, looking out across Brattleboro and southward, was underwater. That is why Brattleboro has so many layers like this as you go down into the valley. It's all sediment from this deposit of this lake that was there for thousands of years until about 12,000 years ago when it finally broke up. And that is why we have such rich gravel deposits in our entire river valley, and then up in the hills we don't.
That was impressive. Where did you
Yeah.
learn that?
I learned that.
Is that from school here locally?
That was at CCD, and I took that class with a couple of other Newfane residents, and it was an amazing class.
What was the class?
Natural History of Vermont.
Wow.
I'm very impressed.
Awesome.
We're gonna try and get Mike on the phone one more time.
They include the Indians.
They would have come after that.
Well, yeah.
After it
Did
broke
you know
up.
about that in there?
No, it was
just
all
actual-
about topography and geography and geology. And
While we're waiting to get Mike on the phone, can we talk about our next steps? And the next step, you have the timeline all. The next step is warning a town meeting for the town
Yes, we need to warn the town meeting. We have a
Special town meeting.
specific window of time to adhere to.
Based on our agreement with the owner, correct?
And I think the date that is tentatively out there is November 17th, is that correct?
Yes, that is the tentative date that we had talked about with Deborah Luskin.
Yes, and we need to come up with a venue, and when do we send out the warning? Is that 30 days in advance?
Yes.
The warning needs to go out
30 days,
prior.
which is ASAP. Tomorrow, you need to put it in the paper. So we have to decide now.
Yeah, it's 30 days, my God, we're beyond it. So we might have to push it to the next, but where are we on the contract agreement?
Our contract date, when did we sign it? My brain is, hold on, I have it in my calendar.
It's 22 days.
It's 22 to the 17th.
From today to, do we count with weekends? I'm not quite sure.
Do we have a date on the contract?
It's calendar dates, not business days.
Okay.
I wasn't sure enough. The 17th is 31 days from today. So that works perfectly for me.
The town of Newfane has the right.
What's the date on that?
This was dated the 21st of September.
But what was the terms that we agreed upon?
120 days.
The town has the right to pay for and perform material quality study by an engineer of the town's choosing with the results acceptable to the town of Newfane and town voters. The purchase is contingent upon the town obtaining voter approval for the purchase and voter approval for necessary bonds or notes for the capital purchase. Closing shall occur within 120 days of final voter approval or the bond vote, whichever is the latter.
That's kind of weird.
So once you post your warning,
Yeah,
you have 120 days from the vote.
so there's no pressure prior to that. It's just about getting the voter approval.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no, it says 120 days from the time of the vote.
Okay.
So maybe the next step is because Deb has agreed to be our moderator during that special town meeting, is that I should contact Deb tomorrow and set up a time to prepare a warning for us to review. And then we should.
I make a motion that, do we need to make a motion? So it's,
Sure, why not?
make a motion that you contact Deb Luskin to, regarding the warning, and to schedule a time for her to be able to conduct a special meeting.
We could invite her to come to our budget meeting next week to discuss further.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second to Shelley's?
I second.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 So the 17th we can take off. Calendar?
That's what it says.
It sounds like it, yeah. Can you, when you talk to Deb Luskin, also just, since she is aware of all the rules and procedures, confirm with her that that is good. And then, can you update us with what you find out? I will. Okay, anything further on real estate options? Jay, do you have anything further?
No.
Sounds like it's great news,
I think the owner's representative had been in touch with Mike today. That's why I was hoping he'd be on also.
Yeah, we can't get him on.
Well,
No.
I would,
Hang on, we have a call.
just a moment.
Is he all the way up?
Woohoo!
Are you there?
Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for calling in. There were some questions about you speaking with
Bill Jewell.
Yeah, so Joel, today.
Bill Jewell about the permits. What can you update us on for that?
Yeah, no, I called him up today because Jay said something about it with Bill Savoy and stuff. And what he was going to do, he was going to check it out because he said there is some sort of a thing in the bylaws he wants to check on to see what kind of a thing the towns do have for like gravel pits and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But even like that, he said, even if we have to go and get the permit, like he said, he works with Ron Bell and Bill Savoy, and they do all the legwork and they just puts it all on paper and does the talking. That he said that he didn't see that the permit process would be all that bad for the town.
Okay.
It's just a permit for operation, you're saying probably, right?
Right, for the gravel pit.
Yeah.
And like he said, whatever, just with all that material is there, he said even if I have to go through the permit process, and we do have to do that, it's gonna be well worth it for the town. Everybody right now is looking for gravel and sand. Like he said, he's from the town of Guilford. They put out a sand bid, and all they got was enough to half of what they needed.
Oof.
The guy bid on just half of what the order was, and they don't really know what they're gonna do.
Well, it sounds like from this report that the town of Newfane could really benefit from this, what they
Yeah, I
found.
mean, that report shows 800 some odd thousand yards. That's not even included the whole side where that big knoll of sand was, Jay and I looked at that time,
Yeah.
I mean, there's over 1 million yards of material in there. That's a lot of years worth of material for the town. And, so even if we had to, like the process would be a lot easier than, a private individual. And, in the long run, it's just gonna pay off pretty, real big for the town to have something like that.
Right. Anybody have any questions for Mike on what he found out today?
Jay had mentioned that you were in communication with the owner, Mike. Is there anything else we should know?
No, he just calls and he wants to know how it's looking. And I told him that we had another meeting tonight and that we were discussing it some more and that, we're gonna then approach the town about having a meeting and then a vote,
Okay, great.
So we should bring up also, he was here about the 120 days
I mean, I
after
think what we
the
should
vote.
do at this point, you know, is, so we have some information, I think we ought to try to hold a public meeting, you know, one night with the town people, that let, you know, make them all aware of what's going on.
Right.
Tell them what we are gonna do, and then, what we're looking at, and then see what they all think. You know, show them the pros and the cons, you know, by that time we'll have a little bit more information too, and then have a vote to see what the town says, and if it is that way, you know, we go try to get a bond and put borrow the money to buy it, and start moving forward with it, you know.
Gloria has a question. Gloria?
Yeah, probably I've been out of the loop on this. Do we have a dollar figure that we're looking at?
Yes,
Yeah, $450,000 figure on the gravel thing.
Okay.
You
Just
know,
wanted to
figure
know.
on that.
Yep.
The only thing would be, like I said, if we have to go through an actual 50, but, you know, like I said, it's, the way he talked, he didn't see where that'd be, you know, real bad. We don't go through that process to get it.
Gloria?
And I think that he's got a pretty good team that he works with Ron Bell, Phil Savoy, they're a real good bunch to work out with, a surveyor and engineer, so.
Yes.
Gloria has another question.
Yeah, just, where is this located? How close to a river or a water source?
It's located right at the end of River Road and Ragway Hill. It's on the opposite side of the road. There's a big field right here at the end of River Road towards Ragway Hill.
Uh-huh.
It's all uphill. The river.
So it's all uphill, but nothing right next to the river.
No.
No, next to the river.
Thanks.
So Mike, what we were discussing is the contract that we signed. We have 120 days from the time of the public vote.
Right.
That's the only constraints that we have.
Yeah.
So it's, time-wise, we want to do it as soon as possible, but the time doesn't start clicking until after the vote by the public.
Right, once we get the approval, if they approve or disapprove, either way, if they approve it, we have 120 days to do the financing.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they know that we're doing it. And it's like we said before, the thing about the house, what this is, because it is all gravel, that was broke into 8 building lots. It all passes the septic systems, the whole 9 yards. And the town isn't interested in it because, we approached them on it and asked them if they would be interested in selling it. If the town isn't interested, you're going to put houses on. And at that point, it's nothing that you get everybody to put a gravel bank on. The thing about the town compared to like a private person, the private individual, like Dallas and Gospel Fire, somebody like that, we'd be working a lot throughout the year, selling whatever we could out of it. And where the town, they'll go in there, screen probably once a year to make them enough to go for the whole year. Probably put up some crushing, maybe a couple of weeks. Other than that, they'll be in and out, just once in a while to grab the material. It's not like they're going to truck.
Right, so
it
it would be minimally disruptive for the residents of River Road in that proximity, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, they'll come right out on the Radway Hill and go right up on the Route 30 and then head out of there with the material, they'll use some on River Road just to access River Road from that end. But most of it will be leaving Radway Hill, hit Route 30 and go whatever way you headed from there,
So are we gonna have like a public meeting where where we talk about this with the public and then have a town meeting? Is that what we're looking at, or we're just gonna have a special town meeting?
Special
Warn it
one
and,
time,
okay.
lots of
Voted.
information dump, hopefully from Jay, hopefully from Mike,
so,
hopefully from,
So we're still looking at one meeting, you're saying.
Yes.
so at this point, we can wait until Juanetta talks to, which is the motion, that Juanetta talks to Deb Luskin, and then on Monday at our next budget meeting, which she appeared at the last time, can we talk about this and plan a meeting at that
Nail
point?
down a date. I
Yeah.
think that's a reasonable expectation.
All right.
And someone should just talk to Melissa so she is aware that this is coming up, because obviously we will need to apply for monies.
Oh, yes.
I shared the report with her today.
Okay,
Great. So she is aware.
Tom.
Hi, Tom. Thank you for being here tonight. You have the floor.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, I just wanted you to know that this gravel pit that you were talking about is right behind my house. I walk back into there all the time. It's a huge gravel pit, and it seems to me to have lots of resources there for the town. I thought they were planning to build houses back there, but right now it seems to be used more for shooting targets and other things. And so it would be wonderful from a homeowner's perspective that the town engaged in this, in the use of this gravel pit, which is, it really is a fine gravel pit back there. I've walked it many times. I'm not part of your discussion about this, but
I'm glad to hear your enthusiasm.
Talking about this, I knew exactly what you were talking about. This is right behind my property. My property backs up to it, so go for it. I like this idea.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
It's nice
Okay,
to
I'm
have
done.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, do we have any other questions about this?
No.
And we will discuss it at our budget meeting for a moment to go forward with our special town meeting. And now we are up to correspondence. And we don't have any correspondence, but I have something to read. Due to the high volume of correspondence we've been receiving, one of our board members did some research about reading correspondence at select board meetings. And what was found is that there is no obligation or law in Vermont for a select board to read aloud correspondence at a duly warned public meeting. It's proposed that all correspondence be sent to the select board members for review prior to the meetings, and then all correspondence will be made available to the public at the town office per the Public Records Act. If anyone from the town would like to discuss an item with the select board, it is encouraged to contact the administrative assistant to be listed on the agenda for discussion. Is there a motion to the proposal?
It's a proposal,
It's just a proposal.
yeah.
We can have a discussion.
Is that not the current? Wait, what's the current?
The current is that everything that is sent to the select board via email or letter is just read.
Right, that's been the historical way we've done
It's just a discussion.
Well, I don't think you read all the correspondence. I mean, a lot of times there's little stuff with VLC, VLC and stuff like that, whatever it is. Some of that stuff we just put out there as public knowledge. They can come and look at it and stuff like that. But I think sometimes when we have letters from different people, a lot of times they probably should be read out loud. But
Okay.
I guess that's up to you guys. I mean, if we don't want to read it.
I would agree unless it's attacking people directly or full of profanity.
Well, who's gonna make that judgment?
Well, I mean,
That's a select board.
So
On a
we need to get
case-by-case
copies of
basis.
them
right?
prior to
Or
the
should we
meeting.
have like a submission date? Letters submitted by Thursday evening will be included for Monday's meeting.
It's
Nothing
Friday
after
at
that?
noon, by Friday at noon.
By Friday at noon?
When the agenda goes out, or Friday at 11 when the agenda goes out.
So, I mean,
I would sort of propose it the opposite. I would propose to say that all correspondence will be distributed to the select board. All correspondence is available to the public, but that we will only read those letters that are requested to be read by a majority of the select board. That would be my
so it'd be
suggestion.
coming from our decision, but
Exactly.
how do we make that decision?
I think we make that decision based on whether or not we feel it is of general interest to the community at large, whether it is an active topic that we are under discussion and that warrants further input, whether the letter is, how can I say this?
I'll second your motion.
Whether the letter is basically, does not have any statements that we can't substantiate, or that we don't want to be making.
How do we make that decision without violating quorum?
Yeah.
We would have to make that decision at the beginning of the meetings, and that's a pain in the butt.
I would just again say that, why don't we just say we don't read correspondence, period? And that anyone who wants to send anything, please send it, and that
Well,
if they're.
but that stops
Can you make
people from being able to vocalize.
At the top of your agenda.
I agree, I have hesitation with this.
Yeah.
It's just a
freedom of
thought.
speech.
It can be brought up again. It's not anything set in stone. It was just a thought because of the volume and all of the letters that we've been given.
Well, I'm certainly like, BLTC and stuff like that, you can, run through it
Oh,
and
yeah.
read every word of it, say it's available.
I really,
'cause
really,
it's agency information.
Right.
I really like hearing from all of our members of the public. I think it's really important. I really like our members of the public to be present and active at our meetings. It means a lot and it shows your support
We all
of
do,
the board.
yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This is what I'm
Right,
thinking.
instead of correspondence, please come yourselves, and I understand that isn't possible for
It
everybody,
was
but-
just a thought that was out there about some of the correspondence. There's been a lot and so. Hi, Dan.
Hi. I just wondered, and I don't know if you could do it or not. It seems correspondence, it would make sense to read it if it was germane to the business of the board. I don't know, that's kind of a fuzzy line to figure out, and maybe that's too much trouble, and I don't
Right.
know how you would do that without, by board decision, the quorum thing makes sense. So I guess, if you had some kind of guidelines on what it means to be germane
Yeah.
to the board business, maybe that would work.
Mhm.
But,
That's a great thought. Thank you. Ken?
For the select board, is it the amount of time that it takes to read the letters? Is that the primary issue, or is it the sense of the content and the time that it takes to do this?
Well, I'd like to know what select board members proposing it.
Well, I'm just.
I wrote that up, and it was a discussion that Ann and I had, just personally speaking. It was not a board, it was, Ann had talked to BLCT just because of her own interest. And then I thought that I would propose it to the whole board to make a decision. I don't think it's a violation of anything as a conversation about correspondence when it's presented to the board as a whole. No decisions were made or anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish the point. The
Sorry,
other, no, that's fine. The other possibility, just to throw it out there, is characterizing the correspondence so that it's not, just the idea that you're not absolutely obligated to read everything, but that you characterize the letter such that you alert the public to the fact that, there's like 3 or 4 letters. These are the topics. And so people have a sense of what is being sent to the select board without at the same time obligating you to read everything. If time was the major consideration, you could characterize what you received.
Also a great idea.
I think we need to think further about it as a board.
I think that's a great idea as well.
Yes, Dan?
Yes.
As it stands right now, any type of rate would really be a letter to the editor and be forcing you guys to read it out loud for the sake of it going on BCTV. So
Exactly.
that's a point in favor of considering this thing. I mean, I'm all for people being able to express themselves too, but that's like with I could write you a letter every week. And you can read it.
Well, it's just a thought, so it can be visited at any time. It's not anything that's, like I said, it's for the board to decide.
Well, it's good to have feedback from others.
Sure, absolutely, and ideas on how to approach things. So with that being said, if there's no other comments, cares, or concerns, I thank everybody for being here. The board thanks everybody for being here and for your participation. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Oh, your best.
Dan, your best. All right, and we will be heading into pay orders. Thank you, everyone.